Let's queer up the USA view. Secretary of Transportation Buttigieg rides the Brightline to show how transportation dollars can be used. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg took an afternoon ride on the Brightline train from West Palm Beach to Fort Lauderdale on Tuesday, underscoring the Biden administration's efforts to fund improvements at airports, seaports, rail lines, and roadways in America. The ride came after the secretary delivered a speech about the national state of transportation at the Forum Club of the Palm Beaches. He discussed the economic and logistical sense of using Brightline in this area. Buttigieg is one of several Biden administration officials who have toured the country promoting the benefits of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law of 2021. The bill sent millions of federal dollars for safety improvements along the federal East Coast Railway line, which is used by Brightline. Local officials used the opportunity to pitch the secretary the idea of a local commuter rail line that's been discussed for years. You know, I will say, I live in Miami-Dade County. You know this, right? He also came to Miami-Dade County. I know we're not plugging that here, but he met with my boss, the mayor of Miami-Dade County, and they talked about infrastructure dollars to go into the seaport and the airport. So it's beyond just, I mean, it's kind of like a multimodal transportation. We're looking at not just rail, but we're looking at the air, the sea, and trying to find ways to really connect, you know, the community.
Well, and what are some of the things that they're looking to specifically improve or to get federal funding to help with?
Well, I think that it has to do specifically with getting goods and services easier. One of the things that, I mean, for years, back to the transportation, I mean, we've been trying to connect, I think, you know, from Miami all the way to Orlando for a while, right? To be able to get back and forth easier too. So I think any way that we can help expand access and transportation, Tri-County even, or maybe, you know, even all the way to Monroe, right?
Well, that'd be nice. That was originally a rail line.
Yeah.
You can still see the decaying rail sections.
Exactly.
Drive down. Yeah.
I mean, right now we're just looking at Broward, Fort Lauderdale, you know, Miami-Dade, but we're expanding over to Orlando. It's really nice to be able to be there in a few hours, right?
I'm not going to let this pass without mentioning Tri-Rail. I have been a Tri-Rail user a lot of times, and you know, I appreciate that Brightline goes from Miami to Orlando. It's not cheap now, but, and you know, I just find, personally, I find Tri-Rail a lot more convenient. I got a station a mile from the house, and I have a station across the parking lot from my job. Prior to COVID, I was on Tri-Rail every day, and it's like, you know, I'm glad we have options for public transportation in Florida, but you know, I wish he'd gone on Tri-Rail versus, you know, because it's simply because that is the more affordable option. It's got more people using it on a regular basis.
Well, you know, in the last couple of weeks, South Florida has been graced with the presence of two Buttigieg.
Yes.
Pete was here and Chasten was here. Next thing you know, they'll be buying a home but next to you in Wilton Manors.
I live in Fort Lauderdale, but they're welcome to look at any of the houses in my neighborhood.
Dania Beach.
I'm grateful that we have a secretary and his husband that are able to really show to so many people in America what it means to be a queer parent.
Yeah,
I think,
public face.
especially in a state like Florida that seems to be targeting queer kids and queer families and queer parents. I'm really appreciative of having a secretary and his husband who are out parents and help show us all what that looks like and what those families are like.
Yeah, and that you really hit the nail on the head with what's important about this visit. The subtext of this visit is that they are here. Chasten was here at Sunshine Cathedral just a couple of weeks ago, and he gave a talk with the Sun Serves Youth Group, who apparently was asking him questions like they were the White House press corps. It was fantastic. They were so well researched and thought about it. And then he had a reception and then gave a church a lecture in the main sanctuary, took questions from people, took questions from me. So he was really great. And it's great to see him just be able to talk about his family, his husband, their kids. It's just really great to see. Now, as far as transportation, we all know South Florida is getting worse every year.
Yeah.
If you're on I-95, I mean, you should have your will rewritten just so that in case you die on that, stuck in traffic sometime, because it's just that bad.
When COVID was going on, it was a pleasure to drive on.
Yeah, I still had to drive down to 79th Street every day, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is excellent.
I had people saying that the traffic during COVID reminded them of off-season 20 years ago.
I'm so jealous when I visit other metropolitan areas for their public transportation. I moved here in the 90s, and they've been talking about connecting us with seaports and airports across all the South Florida counties. I hope it comes to fruition. I think it would benefit all of us to be able to improve our infrastructure and our public transportation.
And, you know, I'm not going to take a stand on Brightline or Tri-Rail. They both serve our community very, very well. Would I love to have seen the Secretary on both of them? Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for coming to that. We really appreciate it. But one thing I want to take issue with is calling this a bipartisan infrastructure bill. Republicans held this up at every stage. It wasn't until we knew we could get votes to put this over the top that a few Democrats came on, or a few Republicans came on and said, oh my gosh, this is going to help our district. Then the hypocrisy, the rank hypocrisy of the fact that then the congresspeople and senators went home, Republican congresspeople and senators went home and campaigned on this. Look, we're getting this, or we're getting that. You know why they're getting it? They're getting it in spite of the fact that you elected a fascist person. Because the fact is, money from the ground up works for communities, and it hits communities first, as opposed to trickle down that gives us the last scraps, the last drops, the last crumbs of anything that's decent worth having. So this is a great bill. Democrats should be thanked for this, left and right, and Republicans should say, yes, we have this coming to our district, but please vote for me anyway.
Testify.